I am unsure how much time has passed since I last sent this out, though given that I have not yet turned to nothingness in the face of a grand uncaring abyss of recycling energy, I'm going to assume that it is working thus far, and that indeed by stating aloud the bits of my reality, I am somehow anchoring myself, perhaps. Last time I spoke quite heavily about the proper layout of the realm in which I once was tied to, though as it slips further and further away from me, I see little reason to dwell on the exact mapping specifications of that world. I suppose I should talk about relations to me. There was my apprentice. There was briefly an individual by the name of the Sage. And there was, of course, Sagax. I still think quite heavily about whether or not it was the right thing to let Sagax out of the someplace. For one, he was likely put there for a very good reason, but on the other hand, I am no explorer by trade and hardly a scientist, so I do not uphold myself to some strange code of conduct about not intervening with other planes. I am a wizard. There are several colors of magic, and Sagax was simply teeming with uncolor, the oil sheen, you'll recall, assuming you're anyone at all hearing this, I mean. I'm not sure how I would even begin to power this or even check if I were somehow transmitting proper. Right, uncolor. Uncolor magic is the school of magic most tied to the unknown, madness, and to an extent divination. Sagax was a master of every aspect of uncolor magic, and it is perhaps because of that I felt so strongly about letting him out. It seemed wasteful to leave someone like that, so full of potential, trapped in such a dim hellscape, for lack of a more polite word. Sagax was, perhaps he still is. Sagax is a thin fellow, rather gaunt. It seems he treaded too close to dying whilst he spent time in the someplace, and his body has not fully recovered. I'm not certain it ever will, really. He looks more skeletal than man, though he has the skin over him to remind you that this sickly-looking fellow is in fact human, or something like it. He has the typical arrangement of humanoid limbs, 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, a nose and ears, that sort of thing. If I had to describe him in one word, it would be shortcut. Sagax looks for shortcuts. It is who he is, I believe. It would be impossible to fully separate him from that, and personally I believe that is why he was so interested in mastering uncolor. Many other magics can allow you to bend physics or defy reality as you see fit, but uncolor simply tells you the most proper, immediate way to get what you're seeking, without any challenge at all. It is not the kind of magic for those that have a strong want for self-discipline. I am remembering now that perhaps he is trying to regain lost bits of humanity from the madness he pursued to become a titan as far as magic goes. He showed me a list one day he had written up, 101 ways to regain my humanity according to uncolor magic. I simply peered at him. I was tired at the time, and I think he saw it in my eyes. perhaps over my head, as that's where he was looking at the time. And I saw that glint in his that told me he was using uncolor magic to decide the most optimal response to me before I'd even spoken, and he waved aside whatever I was going to say and simply informed me, "This will work. I just need to see through the list." That was his first list. It did not work, in fact. He did not regain his lost bits of humanity by gathering random chunks of rock and lying on beds and doing things normal people do, as he put it. It was disheartening to see him attempt that in such a strange way. But Sagax is also stubborn. He is so stubborn, in fact, that I think he would sooner die than give up his magic of any kind, no matter the circumstance. I worry about him some days. In here, I mean. Without me there to ensure he doesn't do anything too heinous in whatever his goals are. There may be no one but me to act as a pseudo-conscious moral compass. I suppose that's not really my job, though, is it? No. My job is to sit in a void right now, speaking into this archaic instrument of some sort. I'm not positive what it is, actually. It's sort of... could be a staff in another world, I suppose. Maybe it's from the norm, though it looks a bit too bombastic for that. Disregarding the state of this strange staff in which I am speaking into, I do worry about many things here. Mostly, I just hope Sagax is okay. I hope he hasn't somehow gotten himself killed, though I find that unlikely. He is many things, but he is quite difficult to kill, I believe. You would have to go through extreme means to do so. Oh. That was the strangest feeling. It was like some strange sort of intracranial pressure that just burst suddenly. It was dreadful. Though my mind does ache and reel, I am full of the opposite of knowledge, I believe. Questions, even, that are not my own. Well, as a wizard, I am one for answering life's great questions, so I suppose I should give in to these voices and tell them what they want, lest I lose myself more. As far as the butter mines go, in somewhere, the desert plain, you'll recall. I'll recall. I already recall, even. In somewhere, the desert plain, I believe it is Iris that has the butter mines near it. It is a prime source of their economy, though not the predominant one, I don't believe. They rely mostly on trade, and trades very skilled labors. Lots of masonry, very little wood to work with in a desert. Regardless, speaking of the butter mines, I suppose now, it is just a matter of fact of that plain, that butter upon that plain comes from mines. Once excavated, it melts and is applicable to be used as butter wood, but whilst in that mine, it is but a strange compact substance. The moment you excavate and dig it out, it is butter. I'm not certain on the exact theorem regarding the properties of various planes of existence, though if anyone were, I suppose I'd be a start. My best guess on the matter is that some property in the very matrices of reality informs this particular stone that until it is excavated, it is stone. Once it is excavated, it ceases being stone and becomes a buttery substance, perhaps a margarine. I've never tried it personally, I just know it is butter, or butter adjacent. A stone butter. I simply cannot believe it's... that was a strange, errant thought. Let's disregard it. I was intending to dawdle on about the various colors of magic and what they mean, but I'm currently being assailed within my psyche to speak about the nature of my name and the strangeness associated with hyphens, apparently. When one becomes proficient enough with magic, they tend to pick up a moniker. It is a sign of mastership, if you will. Sagax's real name is not Sagax, of course. That's a ridiculous name. I don't know where he got it from. The Sage, as I mentioned earlier, is not really named the Sage. It's a title of sorts. As I have not yet truly transcended my mortal bones and become something different, I am using hyphens to show that, yes, I'm still a wide, vast wellspring of knowledge and magical prowess and mastery here and there. I am but still a mortal of sorts. Though I have climbed peaks very few others have, and likely ever will. The typical naming convention is to take what you are best at or best known for and simply refer to yourself as the blank. The sage is called the sage because he is very sagely, and he has life experience in every field of work one can imagine. The ice cream mage is called the ice cream mage because, well, he makes ice cream. It's a strange title, but it is a title nonetheless. A very valid one, even. Ice cream is hard to come by in the desert of somewhere, and someone has to make it. So why not a random mage, who happens to have earned a title, when I haven't yet? Though, to be honest with you, I'm not sure who really decides this title thing. Is it just generally accepted past a certain point, or am I just meant to wait till someone sends me a letter and I get accepted into some strange club that says, you have a title now? No, I think that's actually quite silly. I don't think I want the title anymore. I can just call me Gerard. Or Wizard. Wizard's a fine name. Strong. It's a powerful name. Shows great mastery of all sorts of magic. But no, I think I'll stick to Gerard hyphen the hyphen wizard, actually. This place does strange things to my temperament. It makes me angry over the dumbest things. Right. Where was I? My name. I just chose it. That's my name now. My title, anyway. My original name was Gerard Greybeard. Well, okay. I actually don't know my original name. I kind of gave that one to myself. I happened to notice that I was born with a grey beard, and I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that there was a G in my name. So I named myself Gerard Greybeard, for alliteration. I'd love to talk more about Sagax, but I've said essentially all there is to know about him, and all that one really needs to know about him. Observe from a distance, because he's currently observing you from a distance. Perhaps even me. Perhaps he's been listening in this entire time, and that is why I feel compelled to say these things, though I find that unlikely. I think if he could see me now, he would have drawn me out of here. Perhaps he thinks I'm dead. Perhaps I am dead. Perhaps this is what happens when you die. I wouldn't know. I've never died before now. If I died at all. Really, the means in which I entered here are quite dubious, actually. All I remember is that Sagex and I were enacting a ritual of sorts. Something about some strange energy going on a certain plane of existence. We wanted to be sure it wasn't anything to worry about too much, so we did it. And, well, now I'm here. Yes, now I'm in this abyss. I wonder if he's also here. That would be quite unfortunate. If my only lifeline were also in the abyss with me, this inky nothing. No, I think if he were here, I would hear him. He talks more than me when given a chance. Oh, he was in a band once, I think, actually. Don't really recall with who or what it was even about. I think it was during his rush to try to regain lost humanity. Again, it was a strange thing to watch happen rapid fire like that, but it was what he did nonetheless. He was on his second list when I left. Oh God, what if this is all part of that? What if this is all part of his list? Consider that with me for a moment. What if Sagax decided that those who are mortal and human and feel things, he does not often feel things, let alone emotion, they feel loss. So what if he set this up and sent me out here so that he could see if he could feel loss, and in turn feel as if he had regained some piece of lost humanity? No, I don't think I can afford to think like that right now. Or at all, for that matter. That line of thought is not very productive on getting me out of here. I'm not sure how I intend to get out of here, actually.